Hi everyone, David Aragona and Mike Beer here taking a look at the big race for the three-year-old fillies at Fairgrounds this Saturday. The Untapable, an early prep for that Fairgrounds Oaks that will be run for the three-year-old fillies early next season. Before we get into the handicapping for this race, do want to mention that Morning Line was with us as a sponsor of our videos during Breeders' Cup Week. Will be back on board as a sponsor with us through the end of this year and I think into 2026. And we want to mention specifically for this video because Morning Line, part of the ownership group for a horse in this Untapable Stakes. That is the number 6 Miss Call going out for the Ken McPeak barn. Morning Line is a private SEC regulated marketplace where approved participants can trade licensed interest in elite racehorses. You can check out more about Morning Line at morningline.io. Let's throw up the field for this Untapable Stakes, and you can see that Morning Line owned horse Miss Call. She is a 3-1 as the second choice behind Hit Parade going out for the Brad Cox barn. These two actually faced off in a starter allowance race at Churchill Downs going back to the end of October. And Mike, they do kind of feel like the two protagonists in this race because it didn't come up the toughest stakes late in the season for these 2-year-old fillies.
Yeah, that was my takeaway too. It's just for whatever reason, we don't have any really accomplished fillies in here. Yet there are several still really lightly raced. So maybe we'll get some horses to start moving forward now as we head into the end of the year and into the 3-year-old campaign. But right now it's kind of an uninspiring group. And the two horses that are the two Morning Line favorites, that they're very logical horses in here.
Let's check out the Timeform US pace projector for this Untapable Stakes because pretty unclear, Mike, how this one's going to be run in the early stages. There's always some uncertainty about how some of these 2-year-olds that are stretching out for the first time are going to handle a longer distance or that turn coming up quickly as they try 2 turns for the first time in their careers. So that throws a monkey wrench into things. And also, a lot of these horses just haven't shown a whole lot of early speed in their races. And you can kind of see that in the Timeform US pace projector with that no speed projection.
Yeah, I didn't see a ton of pace in this race either. You do have horses in the 2 inside posts here, both moving up in class and both stretching out in distance. So I don't know, maybe one of those 2 horses will go. The 4 was on the lead in her most recent start at a huge price and ran like it. She seems like she'll be a big price to get in here. I guess the main takeaway I had as far as the pace goes, David, it's kind of murky. The 2 Morning Line favorites we already discussed, they're not the kinds of horses who I felt like were going to be badly affected if this pace is slow. They're both kind of tactical, handy horses.
No, I think the main concern with a pace projector like this is that nobody could show intention. The whole field could be bunched up early because it doesn't seem like many of these horses are that much faster than the others. And you don't want to see the horse that you like get shuffled out to the back of the pack if they're not going quickly up front. Let's go through this field from the rail out, beginning with the number 1, Love Your Neighbor. As Mike mentioned, one of the stretch outs in this race. She competed at 6 furlongs at Fairgrounds just 16 days prior to this race when she was second to Paving, who was now 2 for 2 in her career for Cherie DeVoe. And this horse trained by Mike Stidham, who was second to that foe, she stayed on pretty well. Mike, she kind of got herded out in mid-stretch, and maybe that cost her a little bit of momentum. It was a solid effort. She improved her buyer speed figure up to a 77, which certainly makes her competitive against this field. And looking at the pedigree, there is some indications that stretching out should be just fine for her. So she certainly fits against this field.
Yeah, I saw all the same things, David. I mean, her 2 dirt races, they're both on sloppy tracks, so I guess you have to factor that into consideration, but I don't see why, if she catches fast dirt for the first time on Saturday, I don't see why that would be an issue. I wasn't terribly concerned with her stretching out around 2 turns for the first time. And if you're going to stretch out, this is a great post to do it from. If she can show a little bit of speed here and get forward. I can't say that I love her, but I didn't think she was impossible in the end.
Yeah, she's the kind of horse that I expected to like more when I looked at her on paper than I did when I watched her replays. So we'll see if she's able to put forth a more impressive effort in this Untapable. The number 2, Have Faith. She did impress me watching her replays, Mike. I'm just not sure that this is the right race for her because I don't know if you went all the way back to watch her career debut at Churchill Downs, that $30,000 maiden claiming race. Boy, did she unleash a terrific turn of foot to get the job done in that race after a less than ideal start and some traffic. That was an impressive performance where she wasn't beating a whole lot. It was just $30,000 maiden claimers, but she subsequently stepped up against Starter Allowance Company and she finished second 2 back, won last time out, not really displaying that same electrifying finish that we saw from her in the first race. But Mike, I really wonder with this one if stretching out in distance is going to bring out the best in her.
Yeah, I agree. More of a grind last time when she got that seam, but she did get the job done and was clear under the wire again. I'm kind of with you, David. I mean, I don't mind her overall form. I don't see any reason to think that this horse is going to be better stretching out than she is sprinting. That was my main concern with her.
Yeah, the downside pedigree on that one is just really all sprint oriented. The number 3, Hit Parade, she certainly handles the distance. She's one of the few horses in this race that's actually won a 2-turn dirt route when she did that 2 back at Churchill Downs, breaking her maiden in a $50,000 maiden claimer. Now, I know that race only got a 47 buyer, and you look at her PPs and you think, how the heck did she improve to an 81 last time out when she beat Miss Call in that starter allowance race? I would say that 47 buyer, Mike, maybe could have been a little higher in retrospect. Some others have come back out of that race to significantly improve. The third place finisher improved by 31 buyer points next time. The fourth place finisher by 26 buyer points next time, both on dirt. So maybe that was a better race than it looked. Is she as good as the 81 buyer that she was assigned last time? I don't know. If she is, she's probably going to beat this field. But she does feel like one of the more reliable options. I just wondered if she'd be much of a price in here.
Probably won't, but in my opinion, just based on her 2 dirt races, to me, she's supposed to be the favorite in this race. I guess we'll just see how it plays out. I mean, listen, I didn't dig into the figure for the maiden win 2 back like you did, but what I would just note about that race is this horse got into a lot of trouble early in that race on the first turn. Steadied early, had a horse bother her on the first turn and carry her really wide. She winds up back off of a really slow pace in there. And then she came running in there. I thought that was a good performance. I thought she ran even better last time. She got a better trip in that race. But to me, she ran a lot better than Miss Call did and got the job done. And I just think she's the horse to beat right back.
The number 4, Hurricane Cage, she's going to have to run a lot faster in this race because her top buyer of 47 just doesn't really stack up against this field, and she was no match for one of the rivals that she'll meet again here in a stakes at Delta Downs last time. She does have early speed, Mike, and I guess the best thing you can say about her is that maybe she gets out front and slows things down, but even so, she's going to have to run a lot better than she has to pull off that gate to wire upset.
Exactly. I mean, I don't see why you would look at her on paper and say, oh, if she makes an easy early lead in here, she's dangerous. She made the early lead last time and got clear on that field at a huge price. And when they came for her, she was no match.
The number 5, Funny Bunny, we should mention, she is a maiden and she is cross-entered in another race on this same card, a 6-furlong maiden event early in the day. So we'll see if she actually runs in this stakes race. She at least did improve on her debut when she came back for her second start last time at Churchill. She's not a horse that gets out of the gate particularly well, but she was running on late last time. Maybe at a distance will help her. Her dam is I believe, a full sister to the good stamina influence sire Tappet.
Yeah, I can't argue with at least taking a look at this race, but it just didn't come up that strong. And so maybe the connections will be, compelled to take a shot here. I still think they should run her in the 4th race.
The number 6, Miss Call. We mentioned her earlier having a part of that morning line ownership. She is a horse that is cross-entered in a race at Remington Park on their springboard mile night. So something to keep aware of where she ultimately runs if she goes in this spot instead. Mike, she's finished in the money without winning 3 times since breaking her maiden on the turf going back to New York earlier this year. And she's run pretty well in all 3 starts against winners. She, I think, was just second best to Hit Parade when beaten by that foe 2 back at Churchill. And last time out, kind of a strange trip. I mean, she had trouble at the start, but then it almost seemed like she was going to get pulled up around the far turn. She lost contact with the field so badly, and then suddenly she was running on again late. So it kind of felt like she finished with something more left in the tank. But I wonder if she's going to get the right setup in here if not a whole lot of pace develops.
Yeah, I don't know what happened last time. You're right. I mean, it looked like for whatever reason she just wasn't going to run around the final turn. Listen, she got bumped really hard at the start of that race. So maybe that just, sort of took the wind out of her or something. She didn't run until the final 1/8 of a mile in there, but she was really coming at the end of that race. And the other thing that when I look at her, David, I know that she was far back trailing last time, but that's not her running style based on all of her prior races. And I'm assuming here that if she doesn't get nailed at the start like she did last time, that she'll get a much better trip in here. And I think be way more engaged early.
Another horse who can be forward in this race is the number 7, Pashmina. Looked like she just needed her debut on the turf at Keeneland. She drew in off the AE list that day. It was number 12, got a wide trip. So I can excuse that performance easily. And she got on dirt last time, which is probably what she wants to do. She's bred a little bit better for the dirt just in general. And Mike, to me, in that maiden victory at Fairgrounds, she just looked like a true dirt router. You could see in the second half of that race, she wanted every bit of added distance that she could get. She pulled away from that field pretty impressively. There wasn't a whole lot behind her, but when you win by nearly 11 lengths, you're not supposed to care about that so much. She earned a competitive buyer. I just think she makes a whole lot of sense in this race.
I do too. Again, it's just one of these horses lightly raced, stepping up off of a maiden win, which isn't easy. But then you look at what this field's comprised of, and you feel like, maybe it's not as tough as it could have been. I'm conflicted only a little bit about her. I'm not conflicted at all about her win last time if she's 5-1, but I'm conflicted about it if she takes money in here, which could happen, if only because she got a perfect trip in that race. They contested the pace in front of her up the back, so she just sat all alone in third. And then when she came for the horse on the lead in the stretch, that horse just completely stopped running at the 3/16 pole, was on fumes, and this horse ran by her. But she, to her credit, she kept going and finished that race off impressively.
The number 8 Actus is another one that's coming off a visually impressive victory. Hers accomplished in Stakes Company. We'll take a look at the replay of this My Trusty Cat at Delta Downs, where she was let go at 3-1 by the better. So it's not like she was some heavy favorite in this race, but she ran the best race of her career to improve, making a big blitz around the far turn to win this race, going away at the end. Now, obviously, this was a race at Delta Downs against much lesser competition that she's going to face, even in what might be a subpar stakes race at Fairgrounds. But at least she is heading in the right direction, Mike, because she's been improving over her last several starts.
Yeah, her last 2 races are both good. I know that Amos was still pointing at a turf as recently as the end of October, and she kept getting rained off. But when she won 2 back, she won that race handily, and then she came right back, and I thought ran even better last time. This race is probably tougher even than that last one, but if it is, it's probably only tougher by degrees. I mean, I don't know. I don't think this is a bad spot for this horse at all.
Let's go to our picks for this Untapable Stakes at Fairgrounds on Saturday. And Mike, I have a lot of respect for the favorite, the horse you put on top, Hit Parade. I didn't want to settle for a short price in her because I thought I might get a slightly better price than the one I put on top, but there's probably not going to be some big difference between them. And they just seem like the 2 horses to beat to me. You went with the Brad Cox training.
Yeah, that was my concern too. I'm with you. The 7 to me feels like a pretty dangerous horse in there. I just wasn't convinced that she was going to be a bettable price in this race. And if they're going to be, about the same in here, if Hit Parade's not a clear-cut favorite in here, I just trust her more. I like both of her dirt races.
Yeah, I think a price around 3-1 would be fair on Pashmina based on what I saw last time. We'll see if we get even that much on her. 7-3-6-8 for me and 8-3-8-7-6 for Mike in race 10 at Fairgrounds on Saturday. The Untapable for the 2-year-old fillies. Good luck if you're playing the races this weekend.